Mr. Morris?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Very good. Yes.
The state having rested, the defense would call Douglas A. Stangeland, the defendant in this case, to stand.
Very good. You can step up. And I will swear you in. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good. You may be seated, and if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Douglas Stangeland.
Yes, please.
Okay, S-T-A-N-G-E-L-A-N-D.
Very good. And Mr. Morrison, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Stangeland, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up so that the jury can hear you, okay? Mr. Stangeland, I'm going to ask you a couple of background questions, if I may. How old are you today?
51.
And how old were you in December of 2009, January 2010?
46.
And where is your residence?
Nevada, Missouri.
And for how long have you lived in Missouri?
At that time, 25 years.
Okay. And with regard to Nevada, Missouri, in 2009, 2010, did you live there in a house?
Yes.
Did you own the house?
Yes.
For how long had you owned that house prior to 2009?
Since 94.
And with regard to that particular circumstance where you lived in Nevada, where was it that you were born?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
And how old were you when you moved to Missouri?
21.
And could you give us the benefit of your educational background, if any?
11th grade.
And with regard to your employment, what was your first job?
Employed on a feedlot that was owned by the Secretary of Agriculture for the state of South Dakota.
And I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
And how old would you have been then?
15.
And subsequent to your moving to Missouri, you owned some businesses, correct?
Yes.
What type of businesses did you operate?
Trucks, farming, equipment like custom for hire farming. I didn't farm on my own, but and then vending machines, and then that evolved into retail.
And the retail business was what type of business?
Cigarette outlet, liquor store, convenience like Quick Check would be here.
And I don't know if I asked you this, but how long did you actually live in Nevada then?
25 years at the time this began.
And you knew a lot of people in Nevada, correct?
Yes.
And you were a local businessman.
Yes.
Somewhere around the year 2000, did you meet an individual named Billy Barger?
Yes, sir.
Where did you meet him?
At a cell phone store that was in a little strip mall in Nevada, and I was having some reception problems and whatever because we're in a secluded sort of rural area, and I kept getting drop calls and whatever, so I just went into the store to see if there was anything that could be changed.
And you hadn't purchased your cell phones from him originally then, is that correct?
No, but it was from his wife, who was the manager of the store.
I see. Now, during the period of time thereafter, from 2000 to approximately 2009, what would you say your relationship with Billy Barger would have been?
Well, they became, with their cell phone stores, his wife was the manager of 30, and he had 2. And in a couple of those stores, I had vending machines. I don't know, installed maybe in the year 01 or 02, and it just kind of went along from there, business relationship.
I see. Did you ever see him one-on-one socially during that period of time prior to 2009?
But not until later, like later on, not originally, just a business only.
Did you ever see him in any of the local bars or establishments?
Yes.
With regard to Billy Barger, did you associate him with any particular individual who was perhaps a prominent figure?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Sonny Barger, Ralph Sonny Barger.
And why did you associate Billy Barger with him?
Because he was I don't know the best way to explain it, just claim an affiliation with them.
Okay. Did you ever have a desire to become a member of an organized motorcycle club named the Hells Angels?
No.
Did you ever own a motorcycle?
Dirt bikes when I was younger.
Okay. How about as an adult when you lived in the state of Missouri? Did you ever own a motorcycle?
No, I don't even have a driver's license for one.
Okay. And in Missouri, that's an additional endorsement to allow you to have a motorcycle?
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether Billy Barger ever owned a motorcycle?
I never seen him on one or not.
With regard to an individual named Roy Slates, was Roy Slates someone that you knew from local?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Originally started with the vending machine business also in his construction company. He had a large shop where they worked on their equipment and an office building, and I had machines at both of them.
Were you ever a member of the motorcycle organization referred to as the Hells Angels?
No.
Were you ever, in your mind, a prospect to be a member of that organization?
In my mind, no.
Was there ever a representation made by any person that you were in fact a prospect for the Hells Angels?
Yes.
And who was that?
Billy Barger.
With regard to the Hells Angels, could you characterize to me what your opinion of that organization is?
People you don't want to get on the wrong side of.
Why not?
I guess just the reputation and what I've seen on TV, newspaper, what I've read.
What is the reputation?
If you don't do what they want or cooperate with them, death is usually the result.
With regard to your involvement with Billy Barger, somewhere during the year 2009, late spring, early summer, did Billy Barger have occasion to come to reside in your home?
Yes.
Do you know what the circumstances were that dictated that Billy Barger came to live at your home?
Oh, yes, sir.
What was it?
He threatened the life of a deputy sheriff from the next county north of us in person, and then made a cell phone call to the sheriff and left a voicemail that he was going to blow his head off.
And were you present when Billy Barger threatened the deputy sheriff from the other county?
Yes, sir.
What county was that?
Bates.
And what was that individual's name?
He was like the chief deputy or under sheriff, Justin Mormon.
And approximately when did that take place?
Mid-June of 2009.
And where did it take place?
On the square of Nevada, Missouri.
And when it took place, what were the words that were used, if you recall?
How blunt do you want me to?
Whatever was said.
What it involved was a little girl, but he said, if you don't do your job and put these pieces of shit where they belong, I'm gonna fucking kill you. As he's holding the gun straight at the guy's face.
And could you describe the gun that was being held?
A little short silver Derringer, good looking one, two-shot 410.
And with regard to that particular incident which occurred, did there come a time when a meeting was called in Bates County?
Yes, sir.
Did you attend that meeting?
Yes.
Who called the meeting?
The sheriff, Chad Anderson of Bates County, Missouri.
Did you attend the meeting with Billy Barger?
Yes.
Who else was there?
An ATF agent, a man from the Missouri Highway Patrol, another man I believe was a U.S. Marshal's office, another one who was an FBI, the sheriff, Chad Anderson, the deputy sheriff, Justin Mormon, Billy Barger, myself, and 5 other, what were, in Billy Barger's words, prospective members of his new chapter.
I see.
And I don't remember their names exactly, the other 5.
And what was the subject of discussion at that meeting?
Billy Barger threatening law enforcement officers and his in Hell's Angel connection.
As a result of that meeting, were any charges, to your knowledge, ever lodged against Billy Barger as a result of those threats?
No, sir.
Were there any repercussions that you know of that occurred with regard to Billy Barger?
Just that the Missouri Highway Patrol installed a confidential informant to get close to Billy Barger, to get in with what they were considering the group, and to report back to them what was the activities.
With regard to Billy Barger, where did Billy Barger live at the time that the threat took place?
At the time he made the threat, it was maybe about 10:30 at night. He looked to me and said, "I need to come and stay at your house."
Where did he live before that?
A small farm outside the town of Rich Hill.
And where was Rich Hill in regard to Nevada?
On the main highway, north approximately 20 miles.
Separate town.
Yes,
And who did he live with there?
his wife and daughter.
And his wife was the one that ran the business, the cell phone business?
Yes, sir.
What, if anything, occurred that night with regard to Billy Barger?
I just said, when he said he needed to stay at my house, I don't know, and then he responded with, "Well, it's just you and your son that live there. I'm sure you've got an extra bed or a couch. The family will really appreciate it."
And by the family, who was he referring to, if you know?
I believe Hell's Angels.
With regard to Billy Barger that night, did he come to your house?
Yes, sir.
What happened when he arrived at your house?
He was turning into somewhat of a demanding person. As soon as he got there, he said, "I need a drink. This has exhausted me. I'm having trouble breathing. Get me a drink." And which I did.
Now, that event occurred before the meeting that we had just discussed, am I correct?
Yes, yes.
And did Billy Barger actually come in and live in your house at that point?
After that night, I could not get him back out of my house.
When he came into the house, where did he come to live?
The first couple nights, there was 3 bedrooms on the top floor. The master bedroom, a smaller room, which we used as somewhat of a nursery or whatever, because it was right straight down a short hall from the master bedroom. But then there was another room on the top floor with a king-size bed and more like an actual guest bed.
Did there come a time when he moved from one bedroom into another bedroom?
Yes.
And what were the circumstances surrounding that?
He claimed because of his health and his need to use the bathroom several times during the night, that he needed the master bedroom, so he only had a few steps to go to get right straight into the bathroom, and then the shower. Everything was much more convenient than having to go across the house to get to the other bathroom for the other bedroom.
Did there come a time when you asked Billy Barger to move out of that master bedroom and allow you to move back in?
I said, "No, this is my bedroom, please. You can stay in the other one, but don't, let me stay in this one." He said, "Well, you can just go on downstairs with your son in that bedroom."
And how did you take Billy Barger's statement to you to go downstairs?
Not very well. I was basically refused. I'm like, "No, come on, this is my house."
At that point in time, had there been discussion about forming the chapter of the Hells Angels?
He was starting in on that, yes.
Okay. And did he tell you who was encouraging the formation of that chapter?
He said his father, who he claimed was Ralph Sonny Barger, gave his go-ahead that he was mature enough now or something on that order to finally begin his own chapter, that he'd never had one before.
Did there come a time when you and other individuals were ordered by Billy Barger to visit the home of a person named Kim Hunter?
Yes, sir.
What was the purpose of going to Kim Hunter's home?
To rescue her from her abusive boyfriend,
The word rescue was whose word?
Billy.
Were you asked to go do it?
No,
How would you take the directive from Billy?
you need to get the car with these other guys and go to Butler and get Kim out of the shit she's in.
Okay, and Butler was another town in Missouri?
Yeah, it's a county seat of Bates County.
Okay, and did you in fact go there?
Yes.
When you went there, what was your expectation as to what was going to happen?
Just to simply pull up in the driveway and Kim walk out, get in the car, and ride back like Billy had instructed us to do.
And what, if anything, actually happened?
When we arrived, there was no car in the driveway or anything, but the other guy that was driving knew where the house was. He pulled in, and four of us got out, went up on the porch and knocked on the door. Nobody opened the door, so one of the other guys kicked the door in.
How did you react to him kicking the door?
Like, what's going on? Why, this isn't what's supposed to be happening.
And ultimately, was Kim Hunter there?
Yes.
And did Kim Hunter go with you and the other individuals?
Yes.
And where did you go to?
Back to my house.
And where did she go in the house when you arrived there?
Ran to Billy and hugged him and thank you so much for getting me out of there.
Would you characterize that as a kidnapping?
Not at all, no.
With regard to the boyfriend, was the boyfriend present?
No, he had ran out the back door and was hiding in the garage.
I see.
Up the rafters of it.
You found that out later?
Yes.
Let me bring your attention then to the period of time following the meeting that occurred in Bates County with the sheriff.
Yes.
Bringing you up to somewhere around August, September of 2009, was there discussion about the formation of this chapter of the Hells Angels?
Yes.
And what was the chapter supposed to be called?
Heartland.
And at that point in time, who were the prospects in that particular chapter?
In August or September?
Yes, in August.
Myself, Lonnie Swarns, his nephew Andrew Wade, and Billy Barger.
And at that point, were you asked to join the Hells Angels?
No.
Was there actually ever a chapter formed that you know of?
No.
With regard to around that period of time, was there discussion about buying a bar or an establishment in the name of the chapter?
Yes.
And how was it going to be financed?
Through funds provided by Sonny Barger.
Now let me step back to you at the point in time when Billy Barger comes to live in your house.
Yes.
What's your financial condition at that particular point in time?
Well, at the current time, I wasn't able to drive my truck over the road that I was hauling deli meat and cheese to Florida, California, Washington State, and then produce back from all of them. I wasn't able to do that because I got pulled over, and instead of a DUI, I received a BAC, blood alcohol content. And what that amounted to is I lost my regular driver's license for the car and whatnot for 30 days, but the CDL part of my license I'd lost for a year.
So you weren't able to drive any large trucks?
No, not
Any
myself.
commercial type vehicles?
No, not at all.
And did you own commercial vehicles?
Yes.
How many?
At the time, one.
And
I've been running it myself.
were you able to continue that business to some degree?
It was temporarily on hold for a couple months until I was able to hire a driver.
And what did that do to your financial situation?
It created a strain, but I still had the vending machines that I was able to do that route myself, and that was kind of struggling by.
How about the house that you owned since 1994, I think you said?
Yes.
Did you have a mortgage on it?
Yes.
And did you have a monthly mortgage payment?
Yes.
When Billy Barger came to live at your home, was your mortgage current?
No, sir.
How far back was it?
Approximately 2 months.
And were you advised that your financial situation would improve if Billy Barger lived there?
No.
Okay. Were you advised that someone would assist you with regard to your financial situation?
Later, but not at that time.
I see. When was later?
About in July or early August.
And what was your expectation that was going to happen?
He was wanting like when the checks would come in the mail, they were being intercepted for the loads that the truck was taking or delivering. And he said that his dad would make the payments on the house and that he would buy it and take it over. And
did you believe that the payments were going to be made on your house?
I didn't know what to think, and I didn't want to really sell the house at the time.
I see. To your knowledge, was there ever a deed conveying the property to Sonny Barger or Billy Barger?
The paperwork was started, but it never went any further than that.
With regard to the latter part of the summer of 2009, what occurred with regard to this bar that was supposedly going to be purchased?
Everything was not going according or fast enough to Ralph Barger's plans or Sonny Barger's plans, so he pulled the support and canceled, this isn't going to happen.
And who was going to be the front for the liquor license and ownership of the bar?
I was expected to be, because I had the knowledge of the liquor license in Missouri.
With regard to owning a liquor license, you qualified to do so?
Yes.
And that would mean that you have no criminal convictions against you in order to be able to do so. Would that be correct?
Yes.
And is that true today?
I believe so.
Okay.
Unless
Have you ever
it's
been
changed.
convicted of a crime?
No.
With regard to the circumstances that occurred thereafter, was there a time when a party was planned for Ralph Sonny Barger?
Yes.
And where was that supposed to take place?
At Billy's house in the rural farm outside Rich Hill, Missouri.
And approximately when was that party supposed to take place?
I believe the 4th of July weekend.
And with regard to that party, was there supposed to be some entertainment?
Yes, I like that.
And who was supposed to supply the live band?
Well, the name of the band at the time was Doghouse Band, but the head guy was Eric Belford.
Okay. And did the party go on?
No.
What happened?
Billy ended up moving into my house before that happened, and Eric Belford had put on the band's website that they were going to be providing the entertainment for big Hells Angels get together and party that Ralph Barger would be, or Sonny would be attending.
As a result of that website entry, were you called upon to do something with regard to that individual?
Yes.
What was that?
To meet him at another convenience store that was south of Nevada, Missouri, and had another guy along with me. And we were to pick him and his girlfriend up and bring him to the house so Billy could talk to him about what a screw up they had made by putting the whereabouts of the chief on the internet for the fact of letting his whereabouts be known.
Now, looking back at it all now, knowing what you know now,
Yes.
would it be fair to say that the chief was never going to come to any party at Billy's house?
I don't know. He doesn't want nothing to do with him, from what I understand.
With regard to the circumstances under which the band owner or band leader was brought to see Billy for that discussion, could you tell me what the circumstances were, how that came to pass?
Okay, it was all arranged that we met at this other convenience store that was approximately 4 or 5 miles from my house. And it was to pull up, meet, they get in, it was four-door pickup, and him and his girlfriend got in the back. And then as we were pulling out of the parking lot, we were supposed to cover their heads so they didn't know the whereabouts of where Billy Barger was. And then go drive around on some of the back non-paved roads, which we have a lot of in that area, and maybe take a 15-mile drive before we get back to the house. And then Billy to question them and to scare them over what he had done on the internet.
And was the party canceled?
Yes.
And whose instructions were they to drive around for the 15 miles and so on?
Barger's.
Okay.
Billy
Did you? I'm sorry?
Billy Barger's.
Did you in fact put coats or something over the heads of those two individuals?
Yes.
Did you do
I
it?
didn't, I was driving.
Okay, who else was with you?
A guy by the name of Corey Baker.
How long has it been since you've seen Corey Baker?
December of 2009.
Did there come a time right after Billy Barger moved into your house that Billy Barger refused to leave your bedroom?
Yeah, I just asked when they were going to be, because at that point Kim had completely moved in with her children and like it was their house. And I just asked her, you know, when are you going to be finding something of your own? And that's really just upsetting more than anything.
And what did Billy say to you at that point in time when you asked him those questions?
That what was my problem? This is the family's now. I should be happy that he's there and honored that he's there.
Now, at that point in time, you were not married, am I correct?
Yes.
You had been divorced for some period of time?
Yes.
Your wife's name had been Tammy Stangeland?
Yes.
Did you have a child with Tammy?
Yes.
What's the child's name?
Derek.
How old would he have been when you were divorced?
4.
And in 2009, approximately how old would Derek have been then?
15.
And with whom had he resided during that period of time? And you were the custodial parent?
Yes.
And where did he live in the house?
He had a bedroom in the lower level of the house. I won't really call it a basement because it was a walkout, and it had 9-foot ceilings throughout the house. And it was more like it was a private bathroom to it and walk-in closet that were attached right off of that bedroom. It was basically set up that way from the time he was born. But that would be his room.
And he was living there at the time that Billy Barger came to live at your home?
Yes.
And at some point in time, several days after he lived there, you went to live in that bedroom with your son?
Yes.
What is Derek's actual name?
Derek Allen Stangeland.
Could you spell the Derek for us?
D-E-R-E-K.
And did you have any other relatives that lived in the area at the time?
My dad.
And was your mom deceased at the time?
Yes, she passed in 97.
And at the time in 2009, approximately how old was your dad?
83.
And is your dad still alive?
No, sir.
Do you know what year he passed?
In February of 2012.
And what did your dad do for work, for a living?
Farming, and then when they sold the farm in South Dakota in 86 and moved to Missouri, he opened a welding shop.
And did he work most of his life?
Yes.
With regard to your dad, did he live in the same house that you lived in?
No.
Did he live in Nevada?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When he lived in Nevada, was that a separate house then from the one that you lived in?
Yes, it's the one him and my mother had and purchased.
And where was it in relation to your house?
Approximately just 2 miles away, but more toward the center of town.
To your knowledge, did Billy Barger ever communicate directly with your dad?
Yes.
In your presence, did Billy Barger ever threaten your dad personally?
But no.
Did
Not
Billy,
directly.
I'm sorry?
Not directly, no.
Did Billy Barger ever express threats against you or your family?
Yes.
When was that?
Started in around that June of 2009.
What kind of threats were made?
If I didn't go along with his wishes, it would be bad. If I didn't help him or the family with whatever, the nomads would come and kill me and my son, and just several times.
Did Billy Barger ever say he would have your father killed?
Yes.
With regard to the nomads, who were the nomads to your knowledge?
a division or a side connection. They're Hells Angels, but they aren't any permanent base or chapter. They just kind of float around the country and don't have any ID. They're just like non-existent people running around the country.
Did you ever learn that there were any persons with motorcycles that were visiting with Billy?
Yes, that's what he said.
Okay. What about your own senses? Did you ever sense that there were people that were coming to see Billy that had motorcycles?
But like I say, I never seen it directly, but he said there were.
Okay. Did you ever hear it?
Oh yes, many times, and he would say about 9 o'clock, go outside and listen. There's going to be some bikes going by, and that's there to make you understand that it's real.
Did you actually hear bikes?
Oh yes.
Did you believe that they were there as a result of Billy Barger?
At the time, it's the only thing I could think of because it was getting where 40-degree nights or whatever, and cool and rainy, miserable night. Why would anybody be out riding a motorcycle at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and then driving around these rural roads where my house was?
Were you afraid of the Nomads?
Oh, absolutely.
Were you afraid of the Hells Angels?
Yes.
You're afraid of Billy Barger?
Yes.
Did there come a time when an individual by the name of Roy Slates and you had a conversation in a bar in Nevada?
Yes.
About when was that?
September, maybe, of 2009.
And what was the nature of the discussion that you had with him?
We were just sitting kind of boo-hooing to each other about what had went wrong with our business lives or some of the mistakes we've made over the years with business.
And during the course of that conversation, did you learn that Roy Slates had been scammed out of some money by an individual?
Yes.
Did you get names of people that were involved in that?
Not really at that time, no.
At that point, was Billy Barger still living in your home?
Yes.
And did you, after the conversation with Roy Slates, go back and have a conversation with Billy Barger about your conversation with Roy?
Yes.
And where did that take place?
If I remember right, either on the deck that was connected off the kitchen sunroom that was connected to it, where the kitchen table was. It wasn't the actual dining room. The kitchen table connected onto a covered deck. It was either at the kitchen table or on a table out on the deck.
During the time from June of 2009 to September of 2009, did Billy Barger ever leave the house much?
No. He'd go to work and Kim would drive him to work, and then he'd end up putting half days in or whatever, and then he'd be right back.
Did Billy Barger have access to a computer at that time?
Yes.
Were you ever shown any emails that were generated that were alleged to be from Ralph Sonny Barger?
Yes.
What were the references that Mr. Sonny Barger used? How was he referred to?
Chief or Sonny, Dad. There are several different.
Over the course of the summer of 2009, were there such emails that were coming to your attention?
Yes.
And who were they supposedly coming from?
Some were sent to Billy. Some were sent to Kim Hunter, Billy's girlfriend, who had moved in, and some were sent direct to me.
And who were they alleged to be from?
Sonny or Chief.
Did you verily believe that that's who they were coming from?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to disbelieve they were from him?
Not at all.
With regard to your encounter with Roy Slates and then your subsequent meeting with Billy Barger, did Billy Barger listen to you with regard to Roy Slates and this money that he had been scammed out of?
Not entirely, no. He just wanted the quick details, and then he wanted to talk to Roy himself.
How long would you say that conversation between you and Billy Barger about that circumstance took?
A minute or two.
And were you enlisted to contact Roy Slates to speak to Billy?
Yes, I was told to get my ass out and find him and get him over to the house right away so we could discuss it.
And did Billy indicate to you what his intentions were with regard to speaking to Roy Slates?
Not at that time, no.
Did there come a time when there was a meeting between Roy Slates and Billy Barger with you present?
Yes,
And was that with regard to this debt that was owed to Roy Slates?
yes.
Who ran the meeting?
Billy, like he granted.
Did Billy have any firearms at the time in your house?
Yes,
What firearms did he have?
he had a little .22 rifle, and then that .410 Derringer style pistol.
Did you ever see him shoot that Derringer prior to the meeting with Roy Slates?
Yes,
Did you ever hear him threaten anyone with that Derringer?
yes.
Who?
I don't remember what the guy's name was, but he, on the deck of the house, one night he hit a guy alongside the head with it and fired a shot in the air to tell, and told him the next one was going to go right between his eyes if he didn't apologize for making a bad comment against the Hells Angels. And several other times he'd just shoot off out of the blue and act and rant and rave about different things that weren't done exactly like he wanted.
You had firearms also at the time, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you and your dad were avid skeet shooters?
Yes.
How many firearms did you own at the time?
I'm honestly not sure.
Okay.
What they're showing in the pictures and that is pretty accurate.
Okay. Where did you keep them in the house?
In a safe downstairs, and usually like in the nightstand in the bed. I always and kept them unloaded and such to be safe in the house.
The ones that were in the safe, were they locked? Was the safe locked?
I couldn't figure out how to run the combination, so no, the safe door was not closed, but they were in a room with the door that was locked.
As a result of the meeting with Roy Slates, was some type of a deal struck between Billy Barger and Roy Slates with regard to collecting the debt?
Yes,
And as a result of that, was there a percentage that was supposed to be received?
yes.
Who's to receive the percentage?
Billy Barger for Hells Angels.
Okay. To you, was Billy Barger and the Hells Angels one and the same?
Yes.
Was any of it to go to Sonny Barger, to your knowledge?
I don't remember the details of how he said it did split up, but there was something mentioned about it, but I don't remember.
During the period of time leading up to that meeting, had you met Andrew Wadle?
Yes, at that time, yes.
And where did you meet Andrew Wadle?
He was doing installs for Billy and his cell phone for the dish part of the business.
Up to that point, had you met Lonnie Swarns?
Not until after the 4th of July of 2009.
And what were the circumstances under which Lonnie Swarns came into your life, so to speak?
He was introduced by another guy that he had interest in joining the Hells Angels, and here's Lonnie Schwartz.
Did you know Lonnie before that?
I'd seen him around the area for years, but I'd never had even so much as spoke to him.
You wouldn't characterize yourself as being an acquaintance of Lonnie Swarns at that point in time?
No, not at all. I didn't know his name or where he was from, anything.
Did Andrew or Lonnie come to live in your house also?
Later, Andy did.
Okay. About when?
Maybe October or November of 2009.
Was there an occasion while he was living there that something occurred between Billy and Kim, an argument?
Yes.
And as a result of that argument, who was blamed for the happening of the argument?
And the way was.
And who blamed him?
Billy.
And as a result of it, what happened?
Billy threatened to kill him, pulled the gun on him, and held it across the table at him. And then Andrew just kind of acted like he didn't say it, but just like He didn't, he just sat there. I don't know how to explain it other than he just sat there like, still speechless.
Were you ordered to do anything in regard to it?
Yes.
What?
His uncle and I were told to hold him over the railing of the, going downstairs in the house.
Who ordered you to do that?
Billy Barger.
Was that something you would normally have done?
Never.
Would you have done it if Billy hadn't ordered it?
No.
Who ran the household at that point in time?
Billy Barger.
Was, in your mind, was it still your house?
I'd like to thought it was, but no. I didn't think I had any control over any of it.
During the course of 2009, were there ventures that were supposed to have occurred with regard to making money for the purposes of forming the chapter?
Yes.
Did that include picking up or purchasing or selling marijuana?
Yes.
And did you, in fact, with another individual, purchase marijuana?
I believe that's what it was in the bag, yes.
And when you went to purchase it, where did you get it from?
From a guy about 65 miles away from where we lived.
And did you have to pay for it?
Yes.
Where did the money come from?
Billy Barger.
How much was involved?
If I remember right, about $3,500.
And how was the marijuana package that you received?
I believe that it was in 1 pound wrapped up packages, but they were in a garbage bag with a top tie.
Were you instructed to deliver them to some location?
Yes, back to Billy Barger.
And that was at your house?
Yes.
And did you do so?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I didn't want, how do you want to say it, anything bad to happen to my son.
At that point in time, had Billy threatened to do something to your son?
Yes.
Were you ordered to go make this purchase?
Yes.
After you returned to your home and Billy Barger received the marijuana from you, what, if anything, occurred with regard to that marijuana?
Not that night, but the next afternoon or the next night, we were told to go sell this.
And by terms of you, you said we were. Who else was involved?
Lonnie Swarns, and this other guy, Phil Lacerno, and myself.
Did there come a time when, following the meeting with Billy Barger and Roy Slates, that a plan was developed to locate individuals who were involved in the debt that was owed to Roy Slates?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you have names?
Yes.
And was one of the names Charles Scammell?
Yes.
Did you know Charles Scammell before this occasion?
Not personally, no.
Did you know the name?
Yes.
Did you know where he lived?
Not for sure. I just had heard the name around town before, but I didn't know where it was connected.
Ultimately, did you learn where he lived?
Yes.
How did that information come to you?
Looked up his name because I was told that he lived in a rural area. And I looked up his name in what's called a plat book.
And was that because that's what you decided to do, or did someone tell you to do that?
That I was ordered to do that.
And did you locate the address for Charles Scammell?
Yes.
Did there come a time when the plan was developed as to what was going to take place with regard to Mr. Scammell?
Yes.
And what exactly was the purpose in going and going along with that plan? What was the purpose of it?
I didn't have a choice.
Were you to gather information?
Yes, sir.
Who were you looking for?
Charles Campbell.
And through Charles Scammell, were you looking for another individual?
Yeah, Jeffrey Muller.
And had Roy Slates given you any indication where Jeffrey Muller may have been from?
He had an office in New Jersey.
When you started to develop the plan, did Billy Barger assist in developing the plan?
It was Billy Barger's plan.
Did the plan include firearms?
Yes.
What firearms were included in the plan?
We were ordered at all times to have one in our possession, or we would be shot ourselves.
And what firearms were involved in the Scammell incident?
2 old sawed-off shotguns and a pistol that I owned for several years.
And how did those come into the possession of the individuals, namely yourself and the others that participated?
By Billy Barger.
The handgun that you said you had owned before, who ended up with that handgun?
Andrew Whale.
Did you give it to Andrew Wadle?
I don't remember, or if it was just the fact that it was in the kitchen of the house at the time, and Barger said, "You take this one." So I don't know if I handed it to him or Barger handed it to him.
The shotguns were sawed-off shotguns?
Yes.
Had you ever seen them before?
No,
Do you know where they came from?
No.
But who did you receive them from?
Billy Barger.
So they were in your house at some point in time?
But he brought them in, or Andrew brought them into the house and handed them to him, and he handed them to
Did you-
Bonnie and I.
Did you make a trip to Mr. Scammell's residence prior to the day of the incident that's been described as a home invasion?
Like 2 or 3 different trips, yes.
And what was the purpose of those trips?
The first time was to go and make a positive locate, or he was just saying, get a locate on this piece of shit. And write out, show me a diagram of where the house is, the garage, the vehicles, anything of any importance, I guess. I don't remember exactly how he worded it, but, and directions, of course, on which road to take, how to get there.
Could you describe the Scammell residence when you first saw it?
Well, like a modular or double wide style home, just basic, nice location, peaceful, and just a peaceful, common, rural Missouri residence.
The mission that you were put on, did it include more than just getting information about Jeffrey Muller from New Jersey?
To get money to finance the trip.
Was there discussion about whether or not Mr. Scammell had money?
Yes,
And did you believe he had money?
no,
Was there an indication to you that you were to go there and look at a specific place for money?
yes,
And where was that?
this big floor safe that he said he had.
And the floor safe that he said he had, meaning who said he had?
Oh, Billy Barger,
And when you got there, was there a floor safe?
no.
Did you have occasion to learn anything in advance of going there on one of the second or third trips regarding Mr. Scammell's financial circumstances?
Just like I said, from when I know his wife's, the entire side of her family, her sister and her husband, her 2 brothers and their wives. I've known them all for her youngest brother. I've known him before I ever moved to Missouri, 30 years probably.
Did you discuss that with Billy Barger, that you knew the individuals in the family?
Yes,
Was there any suggestion made with regard to you hiding your identities?
yes.
What was that?
Just if they know you, then you're going to have to cover your faces up.
And what, if anything, did you do as a result of that?
Got sent to Walmart to buy ski masks.
And you've seen the videos and the pictures and so on?
Yes.
That's you buying the ski masks,
Yes.
correct? Why did you buy the ski masks?
I was told to do so.
By who?
Billy Barger.
When you first went to the Scammell residence with the intention of entering the premises, at that point in time, were you aware that they had some dogs?
Not until we got there, no.
Where were the dogs?
In the house at first, and then later because they had company or whatever. Mrs. Scammell's sister and her husband were there, and they were just sitting around the table. I don't remember if they were playing cards or what they were doing. They were just sitting, having a cup of coffee, basically, and then they let out a couple dogs, and there'd been like a coyote howling off the other direction from where we were, and the dogs took off in that direction, so we got out of there right away. But they sounded like very large dogs.
So you had occasion to be able to actually look into the Scammell residence and see these other individuals there?
Yes,
And you knew those individuals?
yes.
Who were they?
Paul and Elizabeth Perrin.
And did it concern you that they might recognize you?
Oh, yes.
How well did you know them?
I had an agreement with Paul Perrin that any time I ever needed to use, before I had my own skid loader or one of the little four-wheel loaders, I could just go hook onto his and rent it by the hour and do what I needed to do. All kinds of concrete work that I had. That's what he ran, was a concrete business, dirt work and dump trucks, backhoes. We've been around each other for 25 years.
What happened with regard to the mission that evening?
Totally scrapped.
And ultimately, did you return to that location?
Yes,
We've heard testimony that the dogs were killed.
yes,
Did you know that was going to happen?
yes,
And did you know how it was going to happen?
yes.
How?
By some poisoned meat,
And whose plan was that?
Billy Barger's,
Who did he direct to do that?
Andrew Wade.
And did Andrew do that?
Yes, sir.
Did you participate in that?
I drove.
So when you got to the house that particular night, who was with you?
Andrew, and Lonnie the first trip out, and then after the meat was prepared, or however you want to word it, just Andrew and I went back out.
And was there any anticipation you would enter the home on that occasion?
No,
Did there come a time when you, in fact, returned again?
yes,
Now, what is this, like 4 trips?
the third,
When you returned there, was there a plan that had been put in place?
yes.
And what was the plan?
To go in and gather all this jewelry and money that was supposed to be there, and to get information.
And were you going to carry firearms?
Yes,
What firearm did you have?
an old sawed-off shotgun.
Where'd you park your car?
Across a field that belonged to another farmer, southeast of over a quarter mile away from where their house was.
And did you ultimately approach the house and enter the house?
Yes,
Before you did so, did you look inside to see who was present?
yes,
Did you see the individual you could identify as Chuck Scammell?
yes.
Did you know his wife by sight at that point?
Just who she was. I've never talked to her or spoke with her before.
Now, you've heard the testimony that's been presented concerning this particular invasion,
Yes.
correct? Is that basically what happened?
Basically, yes.
With regard to it, during the course of the entry into the home, did you or Lonnie Swarns or Andrew Wadle demand information?
Yes.
What information did you ask?
The whereabouts of Jeffrey Muller.
And was Mr. Scammell able to provide you with information about that?
Later he was, but not right away.
During the course of the time that you were there, was the weapon you were carrying discharged?
Yes,
Now, when you entered the house, you were familiar with a shotgun, am I correct?
yes.
Could you tell me what the position of your fingers were with regard to the trigger on that shotgun?
I believe where the trigger guard is, I kept my finger completely on the outside.
Was it your intention at any time to shoot anyone that night?
No,
What was the purpose of having the guns with you?
just to put fear, intimidation. I don't remember the exact words Billy Barger used, but just the fact of being armed and big guys.
Had you ever shot that gun that you had with you before?
No, I'd never seen it before.
With regard to it, what kind of gun was it? What gauge shotgun?
A 12 gauge,
Was it loaded?
yes.
Who loaded it?
I don't remember for sure if it was Andrew or I did. I think I put the shells in one and he did in the other, or Lonnie Schwartz did. I don't remember exactly that part.
Where'd the shells come from?
There were some that Barger had.
Did you shoot Charles Scammell in his hand?
Accidentally.
You heard Mr. Scammell indicate that at some time subsequent you saw him in a courtroom in Missouri, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
You heard him say that you said something to him.
Yes.
What was it you said to him?
Not in front of everybody, but the way the courthouse is laid out, where I'm from, it's an older building. When you go out, the rows of chairs are right outside the door of the courthouse, and I seen him sitting there, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say it real loud, but I just.
What did you mean when you said that?
It did, for everything, for everything. I'm sorry. Not just the fact he got hurt, but just for everything.
Were you sorry?
Yes.
Came a time when you left, am I correct? You left the Scammell residence,
Yes.
right? And you left with no money. You were satisfied he didn't have any, correct?
Yes.
Why were you satisfied he didn't have any money?
I looked through Mrs. Gamble's checkbook.
And what did it show?
I believe it was $13, and it might have even been with a minus in front of it.
Did you go back to your home and back where Billy Barger was after that incident occurred?
Yes.
What happened to the guns?
Billy Barger took them, and I never seen them again.
Did you tell him you had shot somebody?
Yes.
What was his reaction?
Why in the hell didn't you kill him? You screwed up. You should have. You don't ever leave anybody alive.
How did you feel about that?
I felt like my heart was going to explode. I didn't know what to think. I was shaken. I didn't know what to do.
Have you ever killed anybody?
No, sir.
Ever shot anybody other than Mr. Scammell? Sitting here today, I mean, would you shoot someone? The answer is no.
No, no.
Now that would have been sometime in November of 2009, correct?
Yes.
As a result of your going to the Scammell residence and gaining some information about Jeffrey Muller, who did you convey that information to?
Billy Barger.
And what was the result of that information being given to him?
He didn't think it was complete enough, or he was expecting more.
What did Billy Barger do with the information?
He got on the computer and said, you know, you didn't do a very good job of locating him, or I don't remember the exact words, but he'd find he'd find it himself and get an exact address.
Sometime in December of 2009, were you provided with information by Billy Barger about an individual alleged to be named Jeffrey Muller from New Jersey?
Yes.
And was that information that appeared to be from the internet?
Yes.
As a result of it, was a trip planned to come to New Jersey?
Yes.
Now, at that point in time, you hadn't received any money from the Scammells, correct?
No.
Was there a meeting held with Billy Barger, yourself, and Roy Slate's present?
Yes.
And where did that take place?
At my house.
And what was the purpose of that meeting?
Billy wanted to get money from Roy, being he gave us bad information on going to the Scammells. You know, they didn't have any money. And to get Roy involved more with get him, I don't remember the exact word, but to get him completely like hands-on with the home invasion. So he was more involved.
You step back 1 second. Mr. Stangeland, why on earth would you go to the Scammell's residence with firearms and threaten this man? Why did you do that?
Because Billy Barger demanded it.
And what did you feel would happen if you told him, no, I'm not going to do it?
When I did say, I don't feel right about this, there's nothing there, he said, it doesn't matter, do what you're told or your son's gonna die.
Did you take him seriously?
Yes, very much so.
Now, was a meeting held with Roy Slates, yourself, and Billy Barger sometime November, December of 2009?
Yes, shortly after the Scammell's.
And I'm sure the Scammell incident hit the newspapers, correct?
Oh, yes.
But there was no investigation at that point in time that implicated you, correct?
No.
With regard to the meeting with Slates, where did that take place?
In my house, and then it was moved to get away from the other people who were there into the bedroom.
And the other people who were there included Kim Hunter?
Yes.
Was Kim Hunter one who would usually be present when conversations such as the ones you had with Billy and Roy Slates took place?
No.
What was the substance of the conversation between Slates and Billy?
That he needed money to finance the trip to New Jersey to do the collections on his losses that he claimed.
Did Roy Slates claim to have the money?
No, he said he didn't have any.
How much did Billy want?
$10,000.
And what, if anything, did Billy do with regard to Roy Slates saying he didn't have the money?
Well, he started to threaten him, and well, you need to come up with the money, or I'll knock the shit out of you, or I'll shoot you, whatever. And Roy made a comment back to Billy Barger that, well, I've got some friends too with guns. Let's just have a shootout.
And what happened at that point?
Billy Barger already had his gun in his hand, in his pocket. He pulled it out of his coat pocket and went over and just slapped Roy right across the mouth with it.
Did he ever discharge the weapon?
No.
Did he say anything to Roy?
Yes.
What did he say?
The nomads would be, if he didn't come up with the money, the nomads would be there. They were close, only 2-3 hours away, and they would kill his daughter, her kids, his son and his kids, and basically that's what would happen if he didn't come up with money.
Was he given a time framework that he had to come up with it by?
After things calmed down some, yes. He was given a couple days.
Did there come a time when you learned that Roy Slates actually had the money?
Yes.
And how many days after would that have been?
2 days.
And did you participate in receiving the money from Roy Slates?
Yes.
Did Billy Barger participate?
Yes.
Okay. How was the money paid?
At first, Roy came over to the house with a check from his mother for $10,000.
And did you know Roy's mother?
Not personally, no. I've known the family name and all for years, but I didn't know the lady personally.
Did Billy accept the check?
No, he was very upset.
Who was the check made payable to?
To Roy Slates.
Did there come a time when the check got cashed?
Yes.
How did that come about?
I was ordered to load Roy's fat ass up in my car and take him to the bank that the check was issued on and get it cashed.
And did that happen?
Yes.
I assume that Roy went with you?
Yes.
And when you came back, who did the cash go to?
Billy Barger.
And who handed it to him?
I believe Roy did.
And it was $10,000 in cash?
Yes.
Okay. Let me step back during the period of time leading up to the home invasion and the meeting with Roy Slates. Were there ongoing discussions about forming the chapter, the Heartland chapter of the Hells Angels?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document that's been marked S-130, if I could. It's a picture you've seen before, I believe. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell me when approximately that picture was taken?
I think either the middle or end of October 2009
And where was it taken?
in my house.
And you can identify the individuals who were in the picture, I assume?
Yes.
Who are they?
Andrew Wadle, his uncle Lonnie Swarms, Kim Hunter, Billy Barger, myself, my son Derek, and this other young lady, Jennifer Dove.
And did Jennifer Dove live in the house at the time?
Yes, at the time she did.
And with regard to that picture, who took the picture, if you know?
I think the guy's name that took the picture is Bob Bradley.
And what was the purpose of the picture?
We were supposed to get a group photo together so Billy could send that to Chief or Sonny to show that he was indeed getting things done with getting a chapter formed.
And in that picture, people are wearing Hells Angels shirts, am I correct?
Yes,
Where did the shirts come from?
Billy Barger.
Andrew Wadle is wearing something on his head, am I correct?
Yes.
What is that?
I'm not sure if they're a red bandana or what they refer to as do-rags.
Okay.
Or
Is it
skull
anything?
caps, whatever.
Is it anything significant with regard to the Hells Angels?
I guess just the colors red and white is what Barger said.
And you're in that picture, correct?
Yes.
And what are you wearing?
Just a black t-shirt like I normally wore t-shirts and jeans, or bib overalls, and a vest that was Billy Barger's.
Okay. Was it your vest?
No,
Was it ever something that you wore on any other occasion other than when the picture was taken?
no, it was so small I felt like it looked ridiculous just putting it on. I said, this doesn't fit. It doesn't matter, just for one picture. Wear it.
Is that the only picture that was ever taken to your knowledge?
Yes.
Did Billy Barger ever use the name Monk Barger?
Several years ago, yes, but even before this happened.
And your son is in that picture, am I correct?
Yes.
Where is he in the picture?
Down here, in I guess, as you look at the picture, the lower right.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been marked S-158.
Okay.
You recognize that as the same picture but a different exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what has been marked S-129. Do you know what that is?
I haven't seen it until this trial started.
Okay. And in it, there's references made to various names of individuals, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And is one of those names something that you were called?
Yes.
What was that?
Vendor.
And who called you that?
Billy Barger.
And in fact, that was what you did. You were a vending machine owner?
Yes, sir.
Is your son referred to by a name on that particular document?
Yes.
Which name is his?
Youngblood.
What's your son's name?
Derek.
Did you ever call him Youngblood?
No, it just made my stomach turn.
And who called him Youngblood?
Billy Barger. And then he told the others to call him that. And I was told to call him that, but I absolutely refused to all the time.
Let me suggest we might take a morning recess now and then we'll resume. So
Okay.
take a recess at